4 sci-fi factions go head to head as we try to determine which one has the best super soldier. Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to another episode of Sci-Fi Factions Compared. Today we are looking at the universes of Warhammer 40k, Halo, and Star Wars, examining the super soldiers of the Covenant, the Republic, the Imperium of Man, and the UNSC. As always, we'll start off by giving a brief overview of the super soldiers at play here, then at the end we'll rank them from best to worst. So let's start off with the UNSC and my favorite super soldier of all time, the Spartan II. Now, admittedly, the UNSC did have several different super soldier lines, but for this video, we will just be choosing the best one available. Spartan IIs, although technically successors to the Orion project, were the first real super soldiers created by humanity in the Halo universe. The project saw children kidnapped from their home, biologically augmented, and outfitted with the best available power armor. By the time they were adults and fully trained, they were the best killing machines ever seen by humanity. Even as teenagers, successfully augmented Spartan IIs were capable of performing physical acts beyond that even expected of an Olympic athlete. Key improvements are noted specifically in reaction time, speed, and strength. However, the results of the augmentation and the training become even more evident when the Spartan is paired with their Mjolnir armor. Master Chief was said to on one occasion sprinted 100 kilometers per hour. He's likely able to straight up lift thousands of pounds and has a sub 20 millisecond reaction time. However, a Spartan's strength comes from far more than their armor or physical attributes. Spartans are trained to work both independently and in teams from the time they are 6 years old. Spartans are also sent on the most dangerous and difficult missions. A team of Spartans was equal to an entire army, and without the Spartan II program, the UNSC would have easily lost the war against the Covenant. Spartans were outfitted with the best technology humanity had to offer. They were paired at an early age with their Mjolnir armor, which, when combined with the Spartan, weighed about 1,000 pounds. Modern Mjolnir variants were also shielded and made use of other experimental technologies. Some Spartans even had AI integrated directly into their suits. From their specially designed, hardened, boned, and thick muscles, to their incredible reaction time, to their ability to work as a team and their unparalleled training, all the way to their armor and their weapons, Spartans were designed to kill, and they did so very effectively. Going into the UNSC is the second faction that we're considering in this video, the Covenant. Now, the Covenant didn't technically have a super soldier program like the UNSC, but they did have several very high value, highly dangerous warrior types. In my opinion, the closest thing the Covenant have to a super soldier and their most deadly individual combatant is the Brute Chieftain. Biologically, brutes are monsters, and chieftains were typically the physical apex of the brute species. An individual chieftain would grow to be 8 feet or taller and would likely weigh, without armor, over 1,000 pounds. They're extraordinarily strong, stronger even than Spartans, able to fling warthogs around like they're nothing. We'll talk more about a brute's strength later, but one of the most impressive things about a chieftain is its sheer durability. We've seen brutes take shots from projectile-based weapons, needlers, and plasma-based weapons and continue as if they didn't even affect him. And this is with the weapons hitting the brute's body. Chieftains were also often equipped with armor and sometimes even shielding. Although brutes were incredible weapons of pure strength, they were rather blunt. They weren't sophisticated traditionally when they fought. They were capable of intelligent actions. They can do things like pilot ships or even command an army, but in the heat of battle, often they were prone to fits of berserk rage. To be fair though, this fighting style does match their physiology. I said earlier that brutes are strong. I really can't overstate this. A single brute is powerful enough to unhanded defeat a hunter in a one-on-one battle. In Halo Wars 2, we also see a single brute up close take out several Spartans, seriously injuring them. Along with this strength, brutes are extraordinarily tough and fast. However, they do somewhat lack in other areas. Their disposition makes them not as well suited as, say, a Spartan for performing covert operations or working within a team. Still, at times we did see brute infiltrators. However, there is just some sort of effectiveness missing when compared with a Spartan. Moving on now, let's take a look at the Star Wars universe and specifically the Republic. Yesterday I looked at the special forces of the Republic. I didn't include the Jedi because I don't consider them to be special forces. They are something completely different. I consider them to be super soldiers. In some way, the Jedi were ultimate warriors, fueled by the Force and capable of incredible feats. In other ways, the Jedi were held back from their power by the very order that they resided in. Jedi Masters and even Knights and Padawans were incredible warriors, possessing telekinetic abilities, moving faster than the eye can see, even sometimes seeing into the future. The Jedi could do all of those things and much, much more. Force powers come in a variety of forms. On the basic hand, you can move objects, produce lightning, damage people through various means, but also, as I mentioned, see the future, influence people without them noticing, read minds, sense danger, heal yourself and others, and even keep people from dying. However, the ability of an individual to harness these powers varied greatly. Theoretically, a Jedi, when facing a non-Force user, should be unbeatable. They can grab them with the Force, grab their lightsaber, and strike them down effortlessly. However, in practice, that is very seldomly the case. We see, for example, in Episode 2, that Obi-Wan struggles greatly when fighting Jango Fett. Some of this comes from the fact that Jedi are very, very reluctant to use their Force powers in an aggressive manner. However, more than that, a Jedi's ability to tap into the Force is not unlimited. Injuries, exhaustion, distractions, all of those things can stop a Jedi from being able to use the Force to the full extent of their abilities. For that reason, a sufficiently powerful or cunning non-Force user can kill a Jedi. However, a Jedi's non-combat abilities also need to be considered in relation to their position as a super soldier. Even if a Jedi can't necessarily stand down an entire army alone, they are more than capable of performing missions of subterfuge, protecting high-value targets, and even if the case is right, taking out enemies. That being said, a Jedi's effectiveness as a super soldier is clearly limited by their moral compass and the tenets of the Jedi Order. On the other hand, the Jedi Order also bestows strength. There's a companionship between all Jedi, there's an openness to the universe, and there is a total devotion to the study of the Force, all of which make the Jedi both interesting and effective soldiers. Finally, we look at the Warhammer 40k universe, the Imperium of Man, and its most famous soldier, the Space Marine. Space Marines are basically the epitome of super soldiers. It starts off with the selection of a candidate, a young man, genetically perfect, and ready for training. Neophyte Space Marines who pass through the initial selection phases are then extensively genetically modified, more so than even a Spartan. Their internal organs are basically all changed, resulting in superhuman abilities. They also grow redundant organs, for example a second heart, and their body generally becomes much more resistant to damage. After surgical enhancement, Space Marines begin their almost non-stop training and indoctrination, all which is meant to shape them into one of the most dangerous weapons of the Imperium of Man, in a galaxy and a universe with innumerable, immeasurably dangerous threats. And to be honest, Space Marines are almost stupidly powerful. Their physical feats eclipse those of any other super soldier on this list. For example, they move so quickly that ordinary beings can't even understand what they're seeing. They have microsecond reaction time, they're basically impossible to kill even with high-level explosives. And on top of all of that, they wear armor which makes them impervious to nearly all forms of damage. Unsurprisingly, their weapons are similarly overpowered, eclipsing the other factions on this list. Really, Space Marines aren't rooted in any sort of realistic science fiction or fantasy universe. They're basically meant to be as cool and as powerful and as strong as they can in a universe where everything is very, very dangerous. Imagine you take Master Chief and put him through a couple crazy machines, the typical Space Marine is what would be outputted. With that being said, I think we now have a good understanding of the four factions being considered here. Let's now rank our super soldiers from very best to very worst. I think it's no surprising that the Space Marine comes in at number 1. The Warhammer 40k universe, as I mentioned, isn't rooted in reality. It's more about fun, what's cool, and extreme deadliness, so the Space Marine comes out on top. They're stronger, more well-trained, more agile, more intelligent likely, and they have better weapons than any of the other super soldiers on this list. After number 1, I really struggled with how to rank this list. I knew either Spartan IIs or Jedi would come in at number 2. On one hand, I believe the average Jedi could kill a Spartan in a one-on-one battle, mostly due to their Force abilities. However, Spartans I think would be better for performing missions. They're tools of war. Jedi are more focused on the Force and the Jedi Order, while Spartans were created for a singular purpose. In some ways, I think Spartans are more well suited for fighting a lot of enemies or different type of enemies, largely due to the type of armor they have. So for that reason, I'm going to put the UNSC Spartan IIs in the number 2 spot and the Jedi of the Republic in the number 3 spot. That leaves the Brutes as the worst super soldiers, and I think that makes sense. They are absolutely ferocious warriors, they're incredibly deadly, and in certain situations, they can even take down a group of Spartans. That being said, I think their utility is limited to certain situations. A general squad of brutes, I think, would be less effective than a squad of Jedi or of Spartans. I think they're less suited for infiltration missions, for example, and their aggression and rage really hinders them, in my opinion. Still very ferocious warriors, perhaps capable of taking on Spartans depending on the brute and depending on the Spartan, but they still come in at the bottom of this list. But as always, that is just my opinion. Take a second right now, vote in the upper right hand corner, let me know who, besides for the Space Marine because they are comically overpowered, is the best super soldier. Do you think it's the Brute? Do you think it's the Spartan II? Or do you think that it's the Jedi? Also, let me know down in the comments what you thought of this video, if I missed anything, and of course, what you would like to see next. As always, this has been EckhartsLadder. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and may the Force be with you.